everyone. I hope that all of you are happy and healthy. Um, in this short video, we are going to talk about one of the reading strategies, which is skimming. This video is supported by the Center for Language and Culture at President University. Let's get started. So first, we are going to talk about what is actually skimming strategy. Skimming is a specific reading skill which is common in reading sources such as newspapers, messages, emails, research papers. Now, we also need to know why skimming strategy is necessary for our daily activities as academicians. So, skimming strategy is aimed at gaining an overview of the whole text quickly or in a short time. So, for example, we may use this strategy to perform preview before we read a source for details. Skimming will be very useful, especially when we don't have enough time and we have a lot of reading elements to cover. And skimming is also used to support our research activity to make sure whether a text or a source is useful to support our research. Then how we are going to do skimming? First, we are going to identify the purpose of the reading itself. And then we need to focus on the main part, because this time we're not going to go for the detailed parts in the source. The next one, we need to focus only on general ideas. So I advise you not to read word per word, because we're not going to go to the detail of the source. So this is what we should read when we are skimming an article. First, we need to pay attention to the title, the introduction, any headings and subheadings, and conclusions. We also need to pay attention to the first sentence of each paragraph, because that's where an author put the main idea of the paragraph. We also need to pay attention to the concluding sentence, so the last sentence in each paragraph, because it also contains the main idea of the paragraph or the restatement from the author about the main point in the paragraph. Authors usually use illustrations, pictures, diagrams, tables, figures to display data in his or her research. So that's why we also need to pay attention to those, because those are very important. And then here are the strategy for skimming. First, we need to set a purpose for our reading activity. So basically, we need to make sure what we want to get out of it, why we are reading the source. So we need to keep this purpose in mind as we read. And the next one is preview. So we need to look through the text before starting to read and focus on headings, illustrations, captions, highlighted items, and end of chapters or summaries. And then the next one is making predictions. So right after previewing, we make predictions about what we think the chapter or sections are going to be about. Activating prior knowledge, so making lists of what we already know about the topic and what we want to know about it. The next one is going to be to annotate. When we jot down brief notes and thoughts, of course in our own words, in the margins of the text, no matter what materials we are reading. It can be printed materials or online, even in online materials or e-materials. We can use some facilities like highlighter and stuff like that. And then finally, we need to summarize the main ideas. So after a section or page, we need to stop and write 1 to 3 sentence summary in our own words. So now we already know the definition of skimming, why skimming is important for our reading activity, and how we are going to perform skimming. Now it is time for us to put this into practice. So imagine that your teacher assigned you to write an essay. So imagine we have this assignment. There has been intense discussion on how young people in Indonesia using the social media platforms for networking and entertainment purposes. So your teacher asks you to write an essay that provides answers to the question below. Is the social media bad for young people in Indonesia? Well, of course, you hear news stories and explanations in social media and YouTube, Twitter, some other social media platform that these problems have been going on recently. The next thing that you are going to do is, of course, finding more supports so that you will be able to write your essay. So you start going out there, browse some articles on the internet. Now we are going to make sure that the articles that you collect are going to be useful to support the essay that you are going to write. So, to determine if a source is useful, you need to pay attention to whether this article directly relates to the key ideas that you have, which is the social media, the use of social media among youth in Indonesia, and the influence or the benefits. And then we also need to make sure if the source is credible by looking at the author, the publisher, and also we need to make sure whether the source is recent by looking at when this article is published. So, for example, I have this article. I took this article from the internet. I think it was from the Research Gate, if not from the Academia website. So, looking at this article, we are not sure yet whether we can use this article to support our essay writing activity. First, we need to see the title. The title is the impact of social networking sites on the youth. So somehow the title is relevant to what we are looking for, which is, it is about social media, and it is also related to how youngsters use social media. And next, we are going to see the author. So if you would like to find further about who this author is, then you can search this particular name in the internet, right? We're not going to talk about that in here. You can do a little research on who this author is. The next one that we need to see is the date of publication. So it is published in 2015, which is of course relevant and it is current. And it is also published by the Journal of Mass Communication and Journalism. Since it is published within the academic community, so this is relevant and we can use this article to support our essay writing activity. The next thing that we're going to see is the abstract. The abstract will provide the big picture of anything that you will find in the article. So in the abstract, usually the author is going to talk about the purpose of the study, the questions proposed in his or her study, the methodology used in his or her research, and also the data collection, the findings, and the discussion. And sometimes, but not always, an author will also talk about the limitations in the study. And study limitation is very important actually, because we can it will lead us to find some other articles that are not covered in this article. And keywords are also very important because it will serve as a guidance for us to find some other related article. So moving on, we are going to jump to the introduction. In here, this author talks about, once again, restate the purpose of the study, and then the background of the study, and then what he or she, is it a he or a she? I'm not sure. So, what this author is actually going to display in the literature review part. So do not forget to once again pay attention to the first sentence in the paragraph because it contains the main idea, and also the last sentence in the paragraph. After reading the introduction, we are going to go directly to the conclusion. So this conclusion consists of only two paragraphs. We are going to pay attention to the first sentence each paragraphs, and also the last sentence of the paragraphs to find the main idea of those paragraphs. And also the one that is highlighted in pink here shows the limitation of the study. Once again, as I said, it will lead us to find further, sources that we would like to explore that is not covered by this particular article. We also need to pay attention to any figures or pictures or diagrams or graphics presented in the article, because this is how the author displays their data collections, the findings, and the results of the study. So we are almost done skimming the article. Now we are going to explore the entire headings or organization of the article. So based on the source that we just explored, we found out that it consists of abstract, introduction, literature reviews, research questions, research objectives, methodology used, data collection, discussion and findings, limitations, and conclusions. So the part which are highlighted in red are the things that we need to prioritize. So we can skip, for example, the literature review, research questions, objectives, methodology, data collection, discussion, and findings after we explore these four. Now that we know already what skimming is, the aim of skimming, why skimming is important, how to perform skimming, and we already put it into practice, we are going to make an overview of the skimming step by step. So once again, skimming strategy is useful to provide us with an overview of the main idea of a paper by exploring the author, the title, a date, publisher, and then the table of contents to identify relevant parts in the paper, the abstract to find the big picture in the paper, the introductory paragraphs or chapters, sections for relevant information, the conclusions, chapter headings and subheadings, any diagrams, charts, illustrations, figures that we find in a source. And then the references is so very important, so that we can further explore some other articles that we may need to support our writing. And then, of course, last but not least, the first and the last sentence in each paragraph to find the main idea of those paragraphs. So thank you for watching this video. I'm going to see you in our online class. If you have questions, please direct your questions to your lecturers in class. You can also write your question in the comment section down below, and I'm going to respond as soon as possible. Please continue to stay safe, take care of yourself and each other. See you in the next academic video. Bye-bye.